Hey guys, it's Two Review Games or Adam, and welcome back to another one of my Fortnite top 5 videos. And in today's top 5, we'll be looking at 5 weapons that are in this game that are completely useless. Now, of course, when I'm talking about weapons that are useless, I don't mean they're actually completely useless. Of course, you can get kills with them, of course, you can do well with them, but it's definitely a lot harder to be effective with these weapons right here because there's kind of a pattern here in Fortnite. They add in a certain gun, it's used for a couple of days, and then it just kind of fades away and no one ever touches these weapons. And right now, even though we've had all these guns added in, the original base weapons are still the best weapons in the game, and people use the, base M16s, the base scars, the RPGs. Those weapons are the best. And if these guns added in are too powerful, they're removed, like the guided missile. So in today's video, I want to go over 5 weapons currently in Fortnite that no one really ever touches. So today's video is going to feature my weekly giveaway. I'm giving away a total of 10,000 V-Bucks to you guys in the comment section below. And to enter, it's so simple. All you have to do is drop a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel, and let me guys know right now in the comment section below, what is one gun you never use here in Fortnite? And besides that, guys, let's go ahead and jump into today's video and go over 5 weapons that are useless and no one ever uses. So starting our list off here in the number 5 spot, we have the remote explosives. And man, these things are definitely interesting. The remote explosives, I know they aren't a weapon, but it has to be on this list because they honestly just aren't useful. And I know that there are players out there who might use these all the time, but the thing is, the average player will never pick these things up. And I always see these things being used at the start of a match when this is the only thing you can get your hand on. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever been killed by a remote explosives. I know it was used a lot when it first came out, but honestly now I never run into anybody using these things outside of the start of a game. And if you do have these things, you get towards the end of a match, would you pass up on a chug jug or some mini shields or a full shield or a med kit to keep these things? I think a lot of the time people would drop these things in a heartbeat to take, bandages or a med kit or something that can actually keep you alive, or a better weapon. Who knows, right? There's so many other things you can use, and the remote explosives, I get it, they're awesome for fooling around and these, awesome clips, but for the most part, they aren't really all that practical, and people just don't use these things. So coming in at the number 4 spot on today's list, we have a very interesting weapon. We have the heavy shotgun, and the heavy shotgun is probably the most used weapon on this list because it's a shotgun and it does, pretty decent damage. But the thing is, when you compare this gun right here, compare the stats to the tac shotgun and the pump shotgun, it really makes no sense. So when they first added in the heavy shotgun, they actually removed the purple tac and they added in the common tac shotgun, indicating that the heavy shotgun is going to be the epic and legendary versions of the tac shotgun, which was fine. But the thing is, when you compare the stats of the blue tac shotgun to the purple heavy, the blue actually has better stats, which is kind of weird. And then the legendary heavy shotgun, you compare that to a green pump. The green pump has significantly more damage. It does way more damage than the gold or the legendary heavy. So it's kind of a weird thing. And then something like fire rate, the fire rate is almost similar to something like a pump shotgun. So it's kind of a hybrid between the tac and the pump shotgun, except it doesn't do as much damage. So if you want to use, a semi shotgun, you're better off using a blue tac shotgun. And if you want something that does a lot of damage, you might as well use a green or a blue pumps, which are everywhere. So the heavy shotgun, at the end of the day, it's kind of weird because even though it's epic and legendary, the stats really don't back it up. So coming in at the number 3 spot on today's list, we have the LMG. And The LMG is one of those guns that's great for the start of a match, right? When you first start off, and this is something you get, it's really not the worst thing in the world. Like, you'll be able to get a couple of kills with this thing, but the thing is, the LMG actually uses AR ammo. So if you're going to be using your ammo, your AR ammo on an LMG, you know, why not have an M4 or a SCAR instead? And again, if you get this gun at the start of a match, you might as well use it until you come across an AR. And the thing is, right, this gun, you know, once you get later in the game, you'll come across a decent AR for sure. You'll at least get a blue M16, or you'll come across, you know, SCARs for sure. And of course, you're going to drop that LMG for the SCAR and, you know, the M4 or the M16, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of these guns that were added into Fortnite, they just cannot seem to be weapons that people actually want to use. And the only gun that's really kind of made that push is the guided missile, and that was removed from the game so quickly because it was too good, and it was a gun that people actually wanted more than the RPG. And the light machine gun is just one of those guns that, sure, it's great at the start of a match, but once you come across you know, the M16 or the M4 or a SCAR, you'll drop this in a heartbeat for one of those weapons. So coming in at the number 2 spot on today's list, we've got the hand cannon, and the hand cannon is the epic and the legendary version of the revolver, and I think that kind of sums up this weapon with just that one statement. The revolver, obviously, it can be a good weapon, but we all know that the revolver is just completely pure RNG, right? Your shots, especially once you get some range in between you and your enemy, you know, your shots, you're just kind of shooting and hoping your shots hit, and that's exactly what the hand cannon is. Now, of course, the awesome thing about the hand cannon is the epic and the legendary versions actually do significantly more damage than the, you know, base revolvers, because, you know, for example, the rare revolver does 60 body, the epic hand cannon does 75, so quite a jump. But the thing is, it's just a random weapon, right? It's one of those guns that even at the start of a match, like, it's tough to get kills with this thing, right? Unless you're like, you know, barrel clogging someone with this, you're not going to be getting consistent kills with the hand cannon unless you're incredibly accurate. And I feel like this gun kind of falls into the same category as the remote explosives. It's one of those guns where you kind of fool around with, you go for trick shots and things like that, but a gun that you actually use seriously and you find yourself at the end game with this gun every time, absolutely not. It's interesting concept, it's a cool idea, but at the end of the day, it's a gun that really isn't that good, and a lot of people won't use this. So here we are, guys, the number 1 spot on my list, the most useless gun in Fortnite. This is one gun that I feel like if you just land and you open up a chest and you get this gun, a lot of people would rather not take it and have no gun than actually use this weapon. And that's the minigun. Like, I can't tell you how many chests I go by that are already opened, and sitting there is a gold minigun that no one wants to take. And honestly, I don't know what happened to this gun. When it first was added to Fortnite, it was actually pretty damn good. I remember using it and absolutely demolishing people's bases with it. And then somewhere along the way, I kind of just stopped using it, and everyone else stopped using it as well, and I never, ever see this gun being used in game. Sometimes I will see it, people trying to destroy forts with it, but it really doesn't do anything for you. You can stand there at the end of a match trying to destroy someone's base, firing all these shots, but the thing is, you know, you're left completely exposed, and it's so easy to get killed. It was just recently actually buffed. They increased the accuracy, they decreased the recoil, they increased the damage, but at the end of the day, it still isn't being used at all. So there we have it, guys. Those are 5 guns here in Fortnite that are honestly just really useless. And I know that you can actually get kills with these weapons, but when you stack these guns up to the original weapons in Fortnite, it doesn't really make any sense to use these things unless you want to change things up, or when it first comes out you use it for, you know, a couple of times and then you go back to using the regular guns. And Epic Games needs to make some of these newer weapons more interesting and more, I guess, worth using. And they kind of did that once with the guided missile, and then it was so good, it was something that was actually better than the RPG. It was removed so quickly. And besides the guided missile, maybe I would say the suppressed pistol is actually really good as well. You know, besides that, we haven't really had any good weapons. The burst AR is actually pretty good as well, but besides that, we've had a lot of weapons added into Fortnite that really don't last more than 1 or 2 days after release, and then everyone goes back to using the M16s or the M4s and the SCARs and the RPGs and the pump shotguns, the regular stuff, and then these weapons just kind of become filler loot. Besides that, guys, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe for more Fortnite Top 5s, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.